Hello everyone, it's Daniel from TechMind Factory and welcome to my new video from the series called Modern Identity powered by Azure. In this video, I'm super excited to talk about the new product that was announced during Microsoft Build 2023 that is called Microsoft Entra External ID for customers, the next generation of the current product that is called Azure AD B2C. In this video, we will do a short overview of the new product, some features, and also how this product relates to the current product on the market, that is Azure AD B2C. Then I will do some short overview in the Microsoft Entra Admin Center so you can see the look and feel of this new platform. So let's start. Probably many of you already know Microsoft Entra, so this family of the products for identity and security. Under Microsoft Entra umbrella, there are a different bunch of products like Microsoft Azure AD, Microsoft Entra Identity Governance, Microsoft Entra Verified ID, Microsoft Entra Permissions Management, and Microsoft Entra Workload Identity. Now, currently on the market, we have two products. For the enterprise-grade security, there is Azure Active Directory, so it is used for the workforce to secure enterprises and control identity and access management for employees. And also within the Azure Active Directory, we have this feature called B2B, which is business to business, where we can invite partners to our tenant, for instance. On the other side, when it comes to customer world and B2C scenarios, there is Azure Active Directory B2C product. So this one is used to build modern CIAM solutions, so customer identity and access management solutions. And this is the current state on the market. However, it has changed. During the Microsoft Build 2023, there was new product announced, Microsoft Entra External ID. Microsoft Entra External ID for customers, also known as Azure Active Directory or Azure AD for customers, is Microsoft's new customer identity and access management solution, so new CIAM solution. And small disclaimer from my side, at the moment of recording this video, Azure AD for customers is in preview. Great, so now it's time to learn more. Azure AD for customers uses the standard tenant model and overlays it with customized onboarding journeys for workforce or customer scenarios. Microsoft Entra now offers two different types of tenants that you can create and manage: workforce tenants and customer tenants. And this is very important to understand. During the Azure AD creation, we have to select whether this tenant will be used for workforce or for the customer scenarios. So it's important to understand that tenants, workforce and customers are separated from each other. So once you decide, you cannot change it later. So either you decide that you want to use tenant for workforce, so for internal identities management in your organization, or for the external world, for the customer scenarios. So then you should select customer tenant type. Great, so now let's talk about workforce tenant. It contains our employees and apps and resources that are internal to our organization. You might already have an existing workforce Azure AD tenant for your organization. On the other side, we have customers tenant. This represents our customer-facing applications, resources, and directory of customer accounts. A customer tenant is distinct and separate from our workforce tenant. And this is very important to understand and remember. Now let's talk about the structure of Azure AD for customers. So there is a directory. So directory stores our customers' credentials and profile data. There are application registrations like in the standard Azure AD, so we can register our applications to integrate them with Microsoft Entra. We have user flows, so the customer tenant contains the self-service sign-up, sign-in, password reset experiences that we enable for our customers. So in this case, we can decide whether the customers can register or update their profile data or reset password and how to do it. And also we can brand the look and feel. There are also extensions. And this concept is also quite new for the standard Azure AD. So if there is a need to add user attributes and data from external systems, we can create custom authentication extensions for the user flows. So a simple example, if we need to add any data to the token that will be issued to the application, we can use extensions and then we can call external service, grab some data about the user, and then inject this data into the ID token, for instance. So it can be really helpful, especially in the customer world when we want to call multiple APIs during the authentication process. If you work with the Azure AD B2C currently, you are probably familiar with this concept because this is nothing else than calling external REST API. So this is external connector, like in the B2C we have those connectors. Or if you use Azure AD B2C custom policies, this is nothing else like REST technical profile. So this is really a nice feature because in this specific scenario, we will be able to call external services during different user flows. Sign-in methods. We can enable various options for signing in to the application, including username, password, one-time passcode, and Google and Facebook identities. And obviously, more will be supported in the future. Encryption keys. We can add and manage encryption keys for signing and validating tokens, client secrets, certificates, passwords. So all goodies are there. Okay, so now let's talk about account types, user account types in the customer tenant, because this can be also confusing. So there is a customer account, and those are the accounts that represent the customers who access our applications. Their accounts are either created during the sign-up flow or by the administrator of the tenant. On the other side, we have admin account. Users with work accounts can manage resources in a tenant, and with an administrator role can also manage tenants. Users with work accounts can create new customer accounts or consumer accounts, reset passwords, block and unblock accounts, and set permissions or assign an account to a security group. Perfect. So right now, let's talk a little bit about the security and reliability of the Microsoft Entra External ID for customers. So Azure AD for customers provides features like enhanced security, compliance with regulations, and the ability to scale the identity and access management processes. Microsoft Entra Security. So in this case, we can benefit from conditional access, multi-factor authentication, and governance. We can protect access to our applications using strong authentication and risk-based adaptive access policies. Because customers are managed in a separate tenant, as we said before, we can tailor the access policies to users who typically use personal and shared devices instead of managed ones. So again, we can count on all the goodies that are currently available in the standard Azure Active Directory. Microsoft Entra reliability and scalability. We can create highly customized sign-in experiences and manage customer accounts at large scale. With Microsoft Entra performance, resiliency, and high throughput, we can provide a good customer experience. So probably, again, if you work with Azure AD B2C in the past, you remember that there were some problems with performance. Yes, after some time, obviously, this was solved, but with Microsoft Entra External ID, we can be sure that this will be highly available and reliable. So great, we can continue. So how to sign up to the customer tenant free trial? So first of all, it's worth to mention that we can try it for free for 30 days. Yeah, so we don't need to add any credit card, Azure subscription. Obviously we can, but we don't have to. We can try it for free for 30 days. How to do it? You have to go to aka.ms/CIAM-free.trial. And obviously, in a minute during the demo, I will also show you the experience when it comes to creation of new customer tenant. Okay, great. New announcement, new product, but what about Azure Active Directory B2C? What about the current product for building modern CIAM solutions? So, here is the thing and commitment from Microsoft. Azure AD B2C is our current generation customer identity and access management product. Azure AD B2C will continue to remain a fully supported customer solution. There are no requirements for the customers to migrate at this time and no plans to discontinue our current B2C product. Microsoft is committed to continued investment in the Azure AD B2C product. And this is what you can find on the page. The link is displayed below. So this is the official statement and commitment from Microsoft. So before you start worrying about migration and worrying about the future, please remember about it. Like Azure AD B2C is still on the market. It will be on the market. Yes, many clients use it. So no worries, you don't have to worry about it. But on the other side, it's good to learn more about the new generation of the B2C, which is Microsoft Entra External ID for customers, because that's the future. So it provides all other features. It provides different architecture than Azure AD B2C. So still it's worth to check it, learn more about it, and prepare for the future. Okay, great. So now let's talk a little bit about the difference between Azure AD B2C and Microsoft Entra External ID. Because probably you are wondering, okay, what has changed when it comes to, I would say, technical aspect or architectural aspect here? So on the left side, you can see this small diagram. It relates to Azure AD B2C. So we have application. From the application, we are sending authentication request to the Azure Active Directory gateway, and then it's redirected to the Azure AD B2C because of the fact that we have this parameter with the name of the custom policy, and then custom policy is executed. Yes? And because of the fact that we use custom policies, we have multiple authorities like B2C sign in, B2C sign up, password reset, and so on. And as you remember, this can be problematic, yes, because of the fact that when we want to validate the authority and we use different policies within our application, like let's say sign in policy and then profile edit policy, this can be challenging. But the case is that in the current Azure AD B2C architecture, we always use custom policies in the URL. We have to indicate which custom policy we want to call and use to authenticate the user. In the new world of Microsoft Entra External ID, we have different approach. So again, in the application, we are redirected to the Azure AD, so Azure AD Gateway. And from there, basing on the client ID, the specific user flow is executed. So in this specific scenario, there are no custom policies in the new platform. In this specific scenario, the user flow is displayed, presented to the user basing on the client ID. So it's very important to understand that in the new platform, there are no custom policies anymore. No identity experience framework, no custom policies, no XML files. And this is because of the fact that there was strong feedback provided to the Microsoft teams related to Microsoft Identity, that it's hard to work with XML files, that it's hard to learn how to build user journeys with XML files and custom policies. So Microsoft heard this feedback, and this is why there are no custom policies in the new platform. Everything will be based on the portal experience and also API first approach. So please remember that in the new platform, you do not have to worry about custom policies anymore. Okay, that's about the theory and introduction, but now it's time to see it in action. Before I will move forward, I want to mention one thing. All the links to the content I'm presenting right now are provided in this video description. On the main page for the Microsoft Entra External ID for customers, we will find the information that we can start using the new CIAM solution for 30 days for free. Before I will click Start My Free 30-Day Trial button, I want you to know that under Feature Developer Resources, you can find all the resources to learn more about this new platform. Also, there are code samples included to easily start building solutions with the new platform. And of course, there are related blog posts, and you can join the community on the Stack Overflow, Microsoft Q&A. And if you have some problem, you can open support ticket. Perfect. So once I click start my free 30-day trial, this page will be displayed. And here we can set up our new Azure AD for customers tenant. Before I will click continue, you can see here that I can provide the tenant name, the domain name, and I can select the location. So it doesn't have to be United States. So if you walk through the steps presented here, you will be able to configure sign-up flow, register applications, and also you will be able, after creation, access your Azure AD for customers tenant. I've already created one, as you can see, it's called TechMine Factory Customers, and now I can start using it. Please remember that at the moment of recording this video, Azure AD for customers is in preview. Perfect. So here is my tenant, and as you can see, there are three main parts on the main page. I can add sign-in to my own applications. I can customize the look and feel of the pages, and I can change how user sign in. So obviously I can click configure apps, customize branding, edit user flows. But also, if I scroll down under external identities in the Microsoft Entra Admin Center portal, I have this overview tab. And from there, as you can see, I can manage all those different things I mentioned before. I can set up the applications, I can customize the look and feel of the branding, I can set up new user flows, and so on. So here, as you can see, if I click configure user flows, from there, I can click new user flow. And from there, I will be able to create new user flow. I have to provide the name for this user flow. I can decide which identity provider will be used in this user flow. So the standard sign up with Azure AD, obviously, but also I can select Facebook, email accounts here. And with email accounts, I can select email with password, but also I can switch it to email one-time passcode. So no passwords will be used, the one-time passcode will be sent to my email. And below, I can select user attributes. So the attributes I will collect during the sign-up process. So once I create such user flow, and I created it already, sign up, sign in flow, I can start using it with my applications. So that's the difference here I mentioned during the presentation. Right now I can decide which applications will use this specific user flow. So before I will show you that, as you can see here, I have access to user attributes which I defined during the creation, identity providers. So in this case, I selected email with password, and also I added login with Facebook. And below applications here, I added TMF CIAM application. And this application is registered in my Azure AD for customers tenant. So if I will open app registrations from the left side and I will select own applications, you can see that here is my application that I registered in my customer tenant. So if I get back to user flows again, and I will click that one, obviously I already added the application, but by clicking add application, I can add more applications here for this user flow. Okay, perfect. So right now, I would like to also show you all identity providers tab here. So in this specific product, we can define identity providers. Obviously, the one that is by default is Azure AD, but also we can use Microsoft accounts, we can use email one-time passcode, we can use Facebook, we can add Google, we can add also other identity providers using other protocols like SAML. And once we add them here, we will be able to use those identity providers in the user flows. Yes, so because of the fact that I added Facebook here, Now under user flows, for my sign up, sign in user flow, under identity providers, I can select Facebook. Okay, perfect. So right now, I want to show you the integration with sample application. So here is my Blazor single page application, Azure Active Directory for customers. So this application is integrated with the new product, with the Microsoft Entra External ID for customers. And here I will click Login. After a few seconds, I'm redirected to the External ID for customers sign up, sign in user flow. As you can see, it's fully customized. There is my TechMine Factory logo, there is the TechMine Factory background, and also, as you can see, there is sign in with Facebook button. So here, if I do not have account, I can click no account, create one. So you can see that the user experience is quite similar to the one we have currently in the Azure AD B2C user flows or custom policies. So now let's click no account, create one. And as you can see here, I can create account. I can provide the email, and once I will provide it, the security code is sent to my mailbox. I will have to verify it, and then my account will be successfully created. Obviously, I can also sign in with my existing account, and I can also sign up with Facebook. So if I will click sign up with Facebook, then I will be redirected to the Facebook login page where I have to provide my Facebook credentials, and then I will be able to sign in to the application. So let me get back to the main page here. Perfect. So let's see the process for creating new account. So let's click new account, and here let's use some sample email. I will use Minute Mailbox for that, and here is the test email. And when I will click next button, the verification code is sent to my mail. So let's check the mailbox. And as you can see here, there is information with the verification code. I have to copy this code, get back to the registration page, provide it, and click next. And after verification, I can provide details for my profile. So here I have to provide the password. I have to retype the password for this account. I will provide the name, the last name, and the display name. So my first name and last name. And once I do it, I can click next. And after a few seconds, I'm redirected back to the application. My account is created, and now I can start using the application. We can see that here is this greeting, hello Daniel K, in this specific scenario. And now I can start using functionalities of my application. I would like to show you one more great feature available in the new product, which is support for device authorization grant flow. So let me show you how to implement that and how to test it. Before I will move forward, it's worth to mention that currently in the Azure AD B2C, this flow is not supported. Okay, so let's see it in action. This flow can be especially helpful when we do not have access to the keyboard, for instance. You can try to imagine the situation that you have some application on your TV and you want to authenticate to access functionalities of this application. So what you can do, you can start the authentication on the TV in the application, but then provide your credentials on another device. So this is where device authorization grant flow can be helpful. Here is my device call flow application registered in the Azure AD for customers. And as you can see, I enable public client flows. This is required to use this flow. So now let's use Postman to see this flow in action. Here is the Postman open with two tabs. The first one is referring to device code endpoint. So we will call this endpoint to get the code that will be displayed on the device. And the second tab is used to pull the authentication status, so the token endpoint. We will use it to check whether user successfully authenticated on another device. Okay, so before I will click send button, you have to know that obviously we have to provide some parameters like tenant ID in the URL, the client ID of the application we registered in the Azure AD for customers, and also set of scopes. In this case, user.read and Open ID. Once I will click Send button, we can see that in the response there is user code returned. So this code will be displayed to the user on the device, and user will have to use this code on another device to authenticate. And there is also device code. This one will be used to call token endpoint to check authentication state. And there is also verification URI. So this URL is used to provide the user code. So let's see it in action. Here is the page displayed. I have to provide the code and click Next button. After a few seconds, there is sign-in page display with the information that I'm signing in to the device code flow application from a specific location, which is in Poland right now. And here I have to provide my username and password. So let's do it really quickly. Here is my username. And now there is a confirmation. So are you trying to sign in to the device code flow application? Yes, I am. And now there is information that I have successfully signed in to this application on the device. So now let's call the token endpoint to check whether the set of tokens is successfully returned. To get the set of tokens, we have to copy the device code, open the token endpoint, and here under device code, URL encoded parameter, I have to provide this device code. And then I have to click Send button. And as we can see, the access token is returned along with the ID token. So right now I'm successfully authenticated on the device. Now let's talk a little bit about the branding in the new external ID product. At the moment of recording this video, the product is obviously in a preview, and it's possible to set company branding. It means that this branding will be applied to each user flow that we will define. If you work with Azure AD B2C right now, probably you know that you can have multiple brandings per user flows or custom policies for different kinds of applications. And this will be similar in the future for Azure AD for customers. So we will be able to have custom branding applied to each application secure by the external ID solution. But at the moment of recording this video, we can use company branding only. So let me show you how to do it. Under user experiences, we have company branding tab, and once it's opened, we have two buttons here. We can edit default sign-in experience, and also we can customize by browser language. Yes, so we can customize sign-in experiences by browser language for different groups or users. So in this case, we can just add localization. Let's start with the first one. So let's edit default sign-in experience. So if we click Edit button, we will see that such designer is displayed in the portal. And as you can see, here is the background image. So TechMine Factory background image. I can edit the page color. Yes, I can click Next. And here I can decide which template will be used, like full screen background or partial screen background. Maybe I would like to add header or footer, and this can be really helpful where we would like to use terms of use, for instance, or add some additional information in the form of hyperlink. And as you can see, we can add custom CSS files. We can upload them directly from this portal. If I click Next Header, I can edit the header logo, but the header is disabled in my current solution, as you can see. And the footer is also disabled, so I will not be able to edit it. But if I enable footer, as you can see, I can show privacy and cookies, terms of use, and those kinds of things at the bottom of the sign-in page. If I click sign-in form, you can see that there is banner logo that can be configured. Again, I configured TechMine Factory. I can also add a bunch of other assets here, and also I can enable self-service password reset here. That's why I selected this checkbox, so users can reset their passwords. And there is also text category, like here I can add some custom text that will be displayed on the login page, and then I can click Review. So I configured it already, so that's why you saw on the login page that there is my TechMine Factory background along with the logo. Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, this is globally for the tenant, but in the nearest future, it will be also possible to customize the look and feel for specific user flows. One more thing I would like to show you is custom authentication extensions. This feature is also available currently for standard Azure Active Directory. As you remember, I mentioned that there can be a need to call external API or service to grab some data, additional data about the user and include this data in the tokens returned from the platform. And this is where custom authentication extensions can help. So if we click Custom Authentication Extensions in the Microsoft Entra Admin Center, we can then define new custom extensions. So let's click Create a Custom Extension, and there is Designer. So in this Designer, we can select the event type, which will be used for custom extension. So at the moment of recording this video, you can see that I have one event, Token Issuance Start. So use a custom claims provider to fetch attributes from external sources and use them in the token configuration. So I will click Token Issuance Start, and we can see that automatically Claims tab was added, and we will talk about it in a minute. If I will click Next, I have to provide endpoint configuration, so the target URL of my API that will be called along with the name. Obviously, the endpoint should be properly secured. This is why we can instantly create app registration directly from this designer and secure, for instance, our Azure function to be called securely from our platform. Once we do it, under the claims, we can define set of claims that will be included in the token returned from the platform. And those claims will be filled out with the data from external system. And once we complete it, then we can click Review and we can add this custom extension. And then eventually we can use this custom extension in the user flows. The last thing I would like to show you is Microsoft Entra External ID for customers documentation. It's a great resource to learn more about the concepts, configuration and integration of the new CIAM solution provided by Microsoft. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting and helpful, and see you in the next videos.